This is George Boston Rhymes once again with Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated. Rebuttal. I am in the process of bringing you getting back on track. In fact, I call this back to the facts. Back to the facts. I have done 9 previous videos. I've written 30 letters. Been ignored for 3 years, 6 months by Wal-Mart presidents, board of directors, CEOs, and others. I have given you in previous cuts and videos what happened to me at Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated. I am now going to give you my first written coaching and everything surrounding that particular coaching. I do this because I want you all, I want the American people, the people in China and around the world to know the truth about Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated. And so I am here today, July the 23rd, to give you nothing but the truth. It's not done out of hate, but it's done to regulate the temperatures on how American workers and other workers around the United States of America is treated in these days and times. Now, back to the facts. I received my first coaching in July, well, the first written was 31 August 2007 by Assistant Manager Frank Summerlin. Frank called me into the back and he told me that I failed to remove keys from the security room. I asked him, Frank, how many times had you done this? How many times has assistant managers and co-managers left their keys in the doors and on the back during Christmas, and associates had to help them look for their keys? I asked them, how many of them received disciplinary actions? He just looked at me and he said to me, I'm not the one that's giving it to you, George. And so, that became a matter of record, my first written coaching. And of course, when I received that first written coaching, I do what I do. So, I wrote this rebuttal letter to Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated, but before I typed it up like this, I sat down at home and I did a handwritten draft of it. It's all in here. Sheet 1, 2, 3, 4 typed pages, handwritten, hand scribed to refute what Hal and those had done to me. And so, later I typed this up. Now, I responded to them in kind. And I got the time when I wrote it, approximately 4:20 p.m. And of course, as I said before, this is what I started doing when I found out I was facing so much unprofessionalism, if you can call it that, at Wal-Mart Store 2615. I said in my rebuttal, I told him how many times I had taken keys and my subordinates had taken keys to co-managers and assistant managers when they left them in the cash registers and all over the place. And they were not coached. Some of the same people that I supervised took their keys back to them. And while in there, I said these things because it's the nature and the flavor of Brother Rhines. I told him that my first verbal coaching with the 4473s was a travesty of justice. I admitted, and I said to him being Frank Summerlin, that I left the keys in the door and there is no excuse for that. But I said, why am I not treated like others at the store? And I go into what I said earlier. I'm trying to go through here briefly. I said that it is no more, I said this to co-manager Andrew, I said it is no more serious when I leave keys as it is for other sister managers and co-managers. This is in my rebuttal letter and should be in my personnel file. And I did this at the time. I didn't wait to 3 months later because that's the accuracy of Brother Rhymes. I believe in being truthful. Now, had I not observed the unprofessionalism of the Wal-Mart managers, I wouldn't have kept this record. I kept it when I found out what was going on with Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated. I stated to Mr. Summerlin and co-manager Andy that I made a human mistake and it should not have happened. And then I told co-manager Andy, because after doing it, I went out and purchased a retractable keychain. That's what I got right here, a retractable keychain. And I recommended to co-manager Andy that, why don't you all give or recommend to people when they become department managers, especially with the security keys, that they get a retractable chain. I said, it will never happen again. I said, it's impossible because I now have a retractable chain key. He said, that's a good idea. We hadn't thought of that before. Have mercy. And so my closing remark to co-manager and to Frank is I have no harsh words or feeling against you. I failed to remove the keys and I'm at fault. And I said to them, I think that everybody should be treated equal, and I told them that this is my first written coaching after these many years at Wal-Mart. I also put in my rebuttal package a lesson learned. I said to co-manager Andy that I will slow down and focus more on policy and procedures as they relate to my employment with the company. I stated that I would stress to my sporting goods associates and others to be more conscious when dealing with security items. And I put in here, I have learned that there is no fairness at Wal-Mart Stores Incorporated. In the last paragraph I said, and as I explained to co-manager Andy, that it is my goal to make sporting goods one of the best in Wal-Mart. I also commended co-manager Andy for his leadership abilities and managerial points of view in receiving my recommendation by the retractable keychains for managers as well as others, department managers. This is a matter of record. That was my first written coaching. We moved right along. I kept all of it. And once again, I received my very first written coaching, and I just explained it to you. Then I was given my annual evaluation, and Frank Summerlin was the one that gave it to me. It was for the period December 2006 to 12/31/07. And here's what he said. George is willing to do anything he's called to do. George is very dependable. He's always here to do what needs to be done, etc., etc. Not to waste a lot of time. But then he got down here, areas that George needs to make improvements. You need to make improvements on exceptions, make sure they are completed on time. You need to make sure the modulars are done on time. Make sure that his department is neat and clean. Make sure that clearances is flagged and priced by company guidelines. and he needs to make sure that risers are set to comply with guidelines. Now, Chuck have stated already, and he planned to be with me in one of these clips. There were no guidelines on risers. We could put risers up in the morning. By noonday, store manager Hal will come and tell us to take them down. He done changed his mind. Night shift come in, or that evening shift, they could be changed again, and the next day we could move them again. Everybody knows that. So what guidelines were they following? When it comes down to me clearing and flagging and pricing company along policy lines, people didn't know what the guidelines were. No department manager really did. And yes, when I had price changes that needed to be done, what happened? Most of the present managers have been there for 10, 12 years, and I'd only been there, what, 2.5 years, 3. They said, Ryan, just run those things out, just push them out. That's the only way you can do them. So I wouldn't do that because, well, I learned better than that in the military, so I refused to do that. And so I tried to work mine correctly. So he asked me, I need to make sure that my department is clean. Co-manager Andy, I repeat, co-manager Andy knows. Summerlin, assistant manager Summerlin knows. Lynn knows. Shannon knows that you could not keep the department clean because night shift would leave buggies all over the floor and day shift get blamed for it. I brought this up to co-manager Andy. He said he was going to do something about it. He never did. And I got documented records, documented proof to show that I would call when I come in the morning time with assistant manager Asa, show him what was left overnight. Co-manager Janice, when I found out the unprofessional managers, that's what I started doing. Andy came out and took pictures twice and did nothing with them. I took my cell phone and I took pictures also, and they are available for any of you all to see. I kept record because I knew what I was dealing with at the time. And I didn't wait 3, 4 months or 3 years after to go back and get pictures. I took them at the time when I found out that nobody cared about following any guidelines that was written on paper. And that if you was among the clique and among the slicks, you got away with anything. In fact, one associate, I got this in my rebuttal letters. He was from Atlanta, came down here to go to VSU. He wore his hat backwards against policy. Nobody said anything. Another lady, young lady, never stayed in the apartment. Even Steve, the assistant manager, couldn't get her to stay in the department to work. But because she was among the slicks, I think, with Janice, co-manager Hal Harwell, then she got away with murder, wouldn't do nothing that I asked her to do, and nor was she doing anything with Jody, the then department manager. She did absolutely nothing they asked them to do, and of course nothing was done to her because she was among the slick and within the cliques of those in management position. This is a fact. All you have to do, Mr. Wal-Mart president and CEO and board of directors, is to ask the people. They would tell you the same thing unless they want to lie and get on Satan's side. Now, Summerlin said I need to make sure that exceptions are completed on time. I've already shown you that they never trained me on doing anything on exceptions. The only Northwise reports, the very things that they try to hold you accountable on, they never train you. So it's all a game. They work you, and when they get ready to get rid of you, they'll do it within 30, 40, 50 days, or in some cases 2 weeks. Because it is a house of confusion. Now here's what I said, the same thing. I stated associate comments and goals setting. Now, I said see attached pages. Now this was a block on the form wherein I had a right to respond, and I said this here. See attached typed pages signed by me. I do not feel that I have been treated fairly in the evaluation. Most certainly does not reflect me as an associate at the company. This is something I cannot understand. And I said I am typing my comments and goals to this evaluation, and this is invalid until it is attached to the form itself. This is what I wrote at the time. I didn't wait 10, 15 years to do it later. That's the correctness of Brother Ryan's. Here's what I said. And I don't want to get into all this, but y'all, all this stuff has been documented. Store manager Hal knows that. Franklin knows that. Anybody that look in my personnel record, if they haven't destroyed it to protect themselves, because if they have, it don't matter, because I got most everything that was in my record except that which they would not give me. And one thing they would not give me out of my records are the areas in which it had been documented what level I had received training on. They would not give me a copy of what I had been trained on. And I guess that makes good sense to the people on the wrong side of God and the wrong side of truth and justice and what is right. I probably wouldn't give it either. And so I went all down to this. I talked about, I picked up paper and what I did, and I talked about how Jody didn't do it, and Jody just went through, and I'm not criticizing her, because after all, she didn't get terminated. I did. So I'm talking about me. I talked about the bogus rating that he gave me, and I talked about it didn't make sense. And I went on and on and on. I take everything that they brought up plus. It's all online. And I'm not going to read it. I'm asking you to go to Wal-Mart Store 2615.blogspot.com, and you will see this on the internet. And I put it on the internet immediately after I was wrongfully terminated from Wal-Mart Store 2615. The rest is history. Now, on January the 24th, 2008, this pattern and practice of Wal-Mart mistreating not only me, but other workers as well, has been well documented. Since I was terminated, many people have come to me and explained to me how they went through the same thing. Now, check this. This is the actual form of Wal-Mart, wherein once again, they just had to do something to your little brother. Lord have mercy. And this was concerning, we didn't get the date together here. This was, oh my God. This was January 2008. Now you have to realize that I was terminated March the 20th of 2008, but this was given to me, and it says on, our time is up. I'm sorry. We're gonna get back with you on this one, and this will be the next tape. We're gonna talk about another coaching that I received, and this was on 21 January 2008, just a few months before I was wrongfully terminated. We want to give you the rest of the story. And I'm sorry it's taking so long, but I intend to show you every bit of the facts that I have, and I'm going to explain to you the facts and information that they refuse to give me copies of. But as I said before, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set and make you free. We intend to do what must be done to make it better for those we left behind. kvci.blogspot.com, Wal-Mart Store 2615, blogs.blogspot.com. Peace.